Have you ever found yourself in a heated argument, feeling anger bubble up ready to explode? Whether it's a disagreement at work, a fight with a loved one, or a fiery online debate, conflict is a universal experience. But what if there were a way to navigate these moments with calm and clarity instead of letting emotions take over? The ancient Stoics, masters of self-retreat and reason, offer timeless strategies for facing conflict with grace. Thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius taught us how to tackle challenges head-on, not with anger, but with wisdom and patience. In this video, you'll discover 13 powerful Stoic-inspired techniques to help you resolve conflicts, find inner peace, and build stronger relationships. These methods take effort, but the rewards, lasting solutions, emotional mastery, and personal growth are worth it. Ready to transform how you handle conflict? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to explore life's challenges through the lens of Stoicism. True victory lies not in defeating others, but in mastering yourself. Number 1, delve into the depths of your adversity. Imagine standing by a raging river, its surface churning with intensity. A Stoic wouldn't dive in impulsively, but would pause, observing the deeper currents below. Similarly, when faced with conflict, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, take a step back and try to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. As Epictetus said, it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. When tensions rise, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what does the other person truly want? What might be driving their actions? Are there fears or pressures influencing their behavior? Try to see the situation from their perspective, not to justify their actions, but to understand them. Most conflicts stem from deeper issues, unspoken fears, unmet needs, or past wounds. By uncovering these hidden layers, you can calm the turbulence, fostering understanding and paving the way for a more meaningful resolution. Number 2, choose your battles with wisdom. Life is full of disagreements, but not every conflict deserves your time and energy. The Stoics teach us to focus on what truly matters, letting go of minor disputes that drain our emotional resources. Imagine every disagreement as a potential battleground. A wise Stoic pauses to assess, is this worth my effort? Will it impact what truly matters, my values, health, or happiness? The key is to prioritize battles that align with your long-term goals and let the rest slide. Pause. Before acting, take a moment to breathe and think clearly before reacting. Often the heat of the moment magnifies trivial issues. Ask, does it matter? Reflect on whether this conflict affects your core values or is just a fleeting irritation. The power of silence. Sometimes the best response is none at all. Ignoring minor provocations can protect your peace and demonstrate self-retreat. Weigh the costs. Consider the emotional price of engaging in the conflict versus the potential benefits. Not every victory is worth the battle. By choosing your battles wisely, you conserve your energy for what truly matters and navigate life with greater focus and peace. True strength lies in knowing when to engage and when to let go. Number 3, speak with calm and clarity. Picture yourself facing conflict, not with weapons, but with words, prepared for clarity and calm. The Stoic approach encourages us to speak with purpose, not aggression, fostering a space for understanding and reducing tension. Instead of reacting impulsively, aim to express your concerns in a way that promotes constructive dialogue. Here are key elements of Stoic-inspired communication. Active listening. Focus entirely on what the other person is saying, both their words and body language. Avoid interrupting and show engagement through nodding and eye contact. This demonstrates respect and empathy. Simply paying attention has the potential to lead to greater knowledge. This demonstrates respect and empathy. Empathy, not agreement. Acknowledge the other person's feelings, even if you disagree. Simple statements like, I see this as important to you, can build rapport and ease defensiveness. Use I statements. Instead of accusing, express your own feelings with I statements. For example, I feel hurt when. This shifts the conversation from blame to shared understanding. Stay calm and assertive. Speak firmly, but not aggressively. Your goal is clarity, not to escalate tension. Maintain composure and focus on finding solutions, not on winning the argument. Collaborative problem solving. Frame your conversation around mutual goals. Start with questions like, how can we resolve this together? This approach encourages cooperation rather than competition. Remember, clear and calm communication is a skill, not an instinct. It takes practice, but with patience, even the toughest conversations become easier to navigate. Number 4, seek the shared path. Imagine two climbers scaling different peaks, yet as they ascend, their paths gradually merge, leading them to the same summit of understanding. This image beautifully illustrates the fourth Stoic principle, seeking shared ground. In a world full of disagreements, our immediate reaction is often to focus on differences, but the Stoic approach invites us to look deeper for the mutual interests and values that can guide us toward a common resolution. To embrace this Stoic approach, follow these steps. Shift from me to we. Reframe the conflict as a shared journey rather than a win-lose situation. Instead of asking, what do I want? Ask, what do we both want? This subtle shift can reveal common objectives that make the disagreement less about opposing sides and more about collaborating on changes. Look beneath the surface. Conflicts often arise from unspoken or unmet needs. Whether it's the need for respect, security, or validation, identifying these deeper needs can build empathy. By acknowledging what both parties truly seek, we can open the door to more compassionate solutions. Identify shared values. Beyond the surface-level dispute, what core values bind you? Is it honesty, fairness, or integrity? Recognizing these values as common ground can serve as a moral compass, helping you both make decisions that align with your shared principles. Celebrate small wins. Don't expect to resolve everything at once. Start with small areas of agreement, no matter how trivial they may seem. These tiny victories will help build trust and create momentum for tackling more significant issues later on. Be patient. Finding common ground takes time and effort. Be patient with the process and with each other. Acknowledge the progress made, even if it's small, and accept that some disagreements may require ongoing dialogue. Remember, the goal is not to win the argument, but to walk together toward a shared understanding. So help us all rise, and let's move together toward a shared understanding. By focusing on what unites us rather than what divides us, we can create solutions that bring lasting peace and cooperation. Number 5, appeal to their inner values. Imagine standing before a mighty oak tree. Changing its direction requires subtle forces, not brute strength. Similarly, Stoicism teaches us to appeal to someone's core values rather than confront their ego. By aligning with their principles, you foster lasting solutions that resonate deeply. Here's how. Understand their values. Observe what drives them. Honesty, fairness, duty. This helps you craft an argument that speaks to what matters most to them. Find common ground. Look for shared values, even if the issue seems different. These commonalities create a foundation for understanding. Speak their language. Express your ideas in terms that align with their beliefs and concerns. Without manipulation, show don't tell. Demonstrate how your solution reflects their values through examples or actions. Respect their perspective. Approach the conversation with empathy. Your goal is cooperation, not dominance. By appealing to their core values, you guide them towards solutions they can genuinely support, fostering mutual respect and understanding. Number 6, using humor wisely in conflict resolution. Picture yourself on a tightrope, balancing over a deep gap. A misstep could plunge you into trouble, but humor can act as a balancing pole, helping you navigate the situation. Humor, when used thoughtfully, can diffuse tension and open up space for understanding. However, it requires care. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca noted, humor is delicate. What starts as a joke can quickly turn into an insult. Here's how to use humor effectively in conflicts. Know your audience. Humor isn't universal. Understand your opponent's personality and what they find funny. Avoid sensitive topics that could backfire. Aim for shared joy. The goal is to create a lighthearted connection, not to mock or belittle. Self-deprecating humor often works best as it shows humility and disarms tension. Timing matters. Assess the emotional climate before introducing humor. If things are still heated, wait until the tension subsides. Avoid insults and sarcasm. Keep humor kind and inclusive. Steer clear of anything that could be seen as mocking or offensive. Humor isn't a solution. While humor can ease tension, it shouldn't replace honest communication. Use it sparingly to create a lighter atmosphere, not as a quick fix for deeper issues. When used correctly, humor can build rapport and create a more relaxed environment for resolving conflict. Like a tightrope walker, it's a tool for balance, not a crutch. The right joke at the right time can transform a tense situation into an opportunity for resolution and mutual understanding. Number 7, offer empathy. Imagine standing on a rocky mountain trail looking across a chasm at a climber filled with frustration. Rather than shouting across the divide, the Stoic response would be to step down, close the gap, and extend a hand of understanding. This embodies the Stoic practice of empathy, seeing through the other person's eyes and acknowledging their experience. To use empathy effectively in conflict, shift your perspective. Focus on their feelings, not just your own. Understand what might be driving their emotions, insecurities, past experiences, or fears. This will help you see the situation from their reality. Listen and beyond words. Pay attention to body language, tone, and expressions. Often, the emotions they're trying to communicate go beyond the words they use. Acknowledge their emotions. Let them know you see and understand their frustration. Phrases like, "I can see why this is upsetting," can reduce defensiveness and create connection. Identify the root cause. Often, anger masks deeper emotions like pain or fear. By recognizing the core issue, you can address the real problem, not just the surface-level disagreement. Don't confuse empathy with agreement. Empathy isn't about endorsing their actions, it's about validating their feelings. You can disagree while still offering understanding. By practicing empathy, you create a bridge for understanding, even in the midst of conflict. It opens the door to meaningful dialogue where resolution can be found, not through domination, but through connection. Number 8, embrace the art of compromise. Picture yourself standing before a towering oak, its branches strong and rigid against the wind. Attempting to force the tree to bend could harm both it and you. The Stoic solution lies in understanding the art of compromise, flexibility, adaptation, and peaceful coexistence. Rather than clinging to rigid demands, Stoic philosophy teaches us to embrace the flow of life and find balance. As Epictetus wisely said, "Seek not to have things happen as you wish, but rather wish them to happen as they do, and you will live a tranquil life." Here's how to practice this Stoic approach to compromise. Shift from me to we. View the conflict as an opportunity to collaborate, not compete. The goal should be to craft a solution that addresses both parties' needs, not to emerge victorious over the other. This collaborative mindset fosters innovative solutions and mutual respect. Identify shared goals. Even in conflict, you likely share common values or long-term objectives, such as fairness or peace. Recognizing these similarities allows for a smoother path toward agreement. Know what matters most, determine what's truly essential, and be willing to let go of less important details. Compromise doesn't mean sacrificing everything, it means focusing on what truly matters and being flexible on the rest. Aim for win-win. Instead of demanding a total victory, look for solutions where both sides feel heard and their needs are met, even if only partially. This approach fosters a sense of fairness and reduces conflict. Stay open and adaptable. Compromise is not a one-time deal. Be prepared to revisit agreements if circumstances change. Ongoing communication and flexibility ensure that the resolution remains effective over time. Mastering compromise isn't about giving up your values, but about demonstrating strength in flexibility. Just like the oak in the wind, learning to bend and adapt leads to peaceful coexistence and harmonious outcomes. By embracing this Stoic strategy, you contribute to lasting solutions that benefit everyone involved. Number 9. Seek external aid without shame. Imagine yourself trapped in a dense thicket, branches twisting and blocking your way. No matter how hard you push forward, the path remains unreachable. This scenario mirrors being stuck in a dispute where communication fails and resolution feels impossible. But the Stoics remind us that we're not meant to navigate such challenges alone. C, the 9th Stoic tactic, encourages us to seek external help, not as a sign of weakness, but as a display of wisdom and determination. A neutral third party, like a mediator or counselor, can be the guide through the maze of conflict. They offer an impartial perspective and can help untangle emotional knots that obscure understanding. So, with their expertise, they provide a space for each side to be heard and valued, facilitating clearer communication and a more constructive atmosphere. Here's how external help can transform the conflict. Clarify emotional barriers. Strong emotions often cloud judgment, making communication difficult. A mediator can help calm the situation, allowing both sides to express themselves more clearly. Conclusion. Learn to tell the difference between the internal and external states. Bridge understanding gaps. Trained professionals are skilled in helping both parties see each other's viewpoints, fostering empathy and reducing defensiveness. This bridges the divide and promotes mutual respect. Guide towards solutions. Competent facilitators can steer the conversation towards constructive problem solving, ensuring that all concerns are addressed and facilitating a collaborative resolution. Number 10, forgiveness. Imagine being weighed down by a heavy rock, its sharp edges cutting into you. This is the weight of resentment. Forgiveness is the key to releasing this burden and moving forward with peace. Forgiveness isn't about excusing someone's actions, but choosing to let go of the hurt they caused. As Seneca said, "He who is revengeful lives with an open wound." Forgiveness frees you, not the other person. Here's how to begin. Focus on yourself. Holding on to anger harms you more than anyone else. Choose peace and take control of your well-being. Change your perspective. Understand the other person's intentions, not to excuse them, but to reduce the emotional impact. Release. Don't forget. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, but letting go of the pain associated with the past. Practice regularly. Forgiveness is ongoing. Use mindfulness or journaling to help you release negativity. Forgive yourself. Extend forgiveness to yourself first. It's a gift you give to your own peace. Forgiveness is a strength that brings emotional freedom and peace. Let go of the past and step into a future of serenity. Number 11, growth from ashes. Of conflict, imagine. A phoenix rising stronger after the fire. This is the Stoic principle of using conflict as an opportunity for personal growth. Affectitus reminds us to focus on what we can control and accept what we can't. Here's how to transform conflict into growth. Shift your mindset. See conflict as a chance to learn and improve. Self-reflection. Understand why you reacted the way you did and explore underlying triggers. Take action. Turn insights into practical changes, like improving communication or emotional control. Seek guidance. Learn from mentors or trusted people for new perspectives. Be patient. Growth is gradual, so celebrate small wins. Number 12. Setting boundaries. Picture standing on a calm beach, only to feel your personal space invaded. Setting boundaries is the Stoic response to protect your peace. Epictetus reminds us that while we can't control others, we can control how we react. By establishing clear limits, we safeguard our well-being and nurture healthier relationships. Here's how to do it. Know your values. Identify what matters to you and what drains your energy or violates your space. Communicate clearly. Use assertive I statements to express your boundaries without ambiguity. Be consistent. Once boundaries are set, stay firm. Consistency earns respect and preserves your peace. Resistance. Not everyone will respect your boundaries, but stay calm and reaffirm your needs. Setting boundaries is a self-care practice, not selfishness. It helps you lead a life of peace, respect, and inner freedom. Number 13. Remember, you control your reactions, and imagine standing in the midst of a raging storm. While you can't control the storm, you can choose how you react. This analogy encapsulates the 13th Stoic principle. You control your responses, not external events. Epictetus reminds us that true strength lies in mastering our inner world, not trying to control the world around us. By focusing on how we react, we can maintain calm even in life's most intense moments. Here's how to practice this Stoic power. Recognize your triggers. Identify what sets off strong emotions. Being aware of these triggers is the first step in controlling your reactions. Pause and breathe. Take a moment to breathe before reacting. This space allows you to evaluate the situation and choose a measured response. Shift your perspective. How you interpret a situation often influences your reaction more than the event itself. Look for alternative viewpoints to help you reframe your response. Choose your reaction. Think before acting. Will reacting in anger help, or will a composed response allow you to navigate the situation better? Practice. Like any skill, controlling your reactions requires practice. By consciously choosing how to respond over time, you'll build emotional resilience. The key to this Stoic principle is not controlling the world, but mastering yourself. True strength lies in your ability to remain composed and at peace, no matter what storm surrounds you. Nearly half of us will face depression at some point in our lives. Yet this pervasive condition remains widely misunderstood, leading to inadequate treatment for many who suffer from it. At the core of our collective struggle to address depression lies a fundamental confusion about its true nature. This misunderstanding is compounded by the challenge of distinguishing depression from a state we are all intimately familiar with: sadness. While the two share some overlapping features, depression is far more complex and debilitating, extending beyond the transient situational emotions that define sadness. This blurred line between the two not only obscures the unique and profound challenges of depression, but also perpetuates misconceptions, leaving countless individuals without the empathy, support, and care they so urgently need. We often unintentionally approach cases of depression with assumptions drawn from, and better suited to, our understanding of sadness. This fundamental misstep exacerbates the suffering of those with depression, preventing them from receiving the understanding and care they truly need. At first glance, there appear to be significant similarities between sadness and depression. Both can lead individuals to cry, withdraw from the world, complain of listlessness, and feel alienated from their usual lives. However, a profound and categorical difference sets the two apart: clarity of cause. A person who is sad can usually identify and articulate the source of their sadness. They might say, "I'm sad because my grandmother has died," or "I lost my job," or "my friends have been unkind to me." Sadness, in this sense, is tethered to specific events or circumstances, making it a temporary and understandable emotional response. In stark contrast, the person suffering from depression cannot easily pinpoint a clear cause for their despair. They may cry, feel utterly depleted, and struggle to find meaning in life, but they are unable to identify a specific event or situation as the source of their anguish. Instead, they describe a more generalized and overwhelming sense that life itself lacks meaning. The sense of despair, they say, is a false corridor that strains the mind from the outside and gets in the way of appropriate thinking and decision-making. They are not depressed about X or Y in the way a person might be sad about X or Y. They are simply depressed in a pervasive, all-encompassing way. This inability to articulate the root of their suffering leaves the depressed individual vulnerable to misunderstanding. Others, often with good intentions, may assume there must be a tangible problem to solve, leading to frustration when no clear answer emerges. This lack of clarity can invite unwarranted judgments, with sufferers accused of exaggerating, malingering, or even fabricating their condition. The well-meaning but misguided attempts of friends and loved ones to uncover a fixable problem can inadvertently deepen the isolation of the person with depression, leaving them feeling even more alienated and unsupported. When pressed to explain their despair, a person suffering from depression might point to seemingly odd or trivial issues. They might argue that going to work is pointless because, in 7.5 billion years, the Earth will be absorbed by the sun. Or they might declare life entirely meaningless after accidentally dropping a glass on the floor, convinced that everything is now irreparably hopeless. Such explanations can sound baffling, even absurd to an outsider. At this point, some might conclude that if depression lacks any clear psychological cause, it must be rooted in a chemical imbalance in the brain. This perspective suggests that the most compassionate and efficient response is to treat the issue with medication, an approach heavily promoted by the pharmaceutical industry, which benefits enormously from such a view. It also appeals to families, schools, and employers who seek swift, cost-efficient solutions to the problem, eager to restore functionality as quickly as possible. Yet there exists another, more nuanced approach to understanding and addressing depression, one that, while slower and more challenging, may prove far more effective in the long run. This approach draws upon the principles of psychotherapy, a discipline that has arguably developed the deepest insights into the nature of depression. Psychotherapy begins with a foundational premise. Despite appearances, a depressed person is not devoid of a cause for their despair. There is always a reason for their suffering. However, the reason is often so complex, painful, or threatening that it has been pushed to the margins of their consciousness. This buried distress does not disappear. Instead, it festers in the unconscious mind, exerting a profound and destabilizing influence. Unable to confront or articulate the true source of their anguish, the individual experiences a pervasive sense of nihilism, with their suppressed pain manifesting as feelings of hopelessness and meaninglessness. Psychotherapy seeks to help individuals uncover and confront these hidden sources of distress, gradually bringing them into the light of conscious awareness. Though this process demands patience and courage, it offers the potential for genuine healing by addressing the root causes of depression rather than merely masking its symptoms. By engaging with the complexity of human emotion and experience, this approach provides a pathway to lasting recovery, one that respects the depth and dignity of the individual's struggle. The foundational principle of psychotherapy is that depression is never as causeless as it may appear. While those suffering from it often feel as though their despair has no explanation, psychotherapy insists otherwise. There is always a reason. The depressed individual is profoundly distressed by something, but that something is so painful, unsettling, or overwhelming that it cannot be consciously acknowledged. Instead, it is pushed to the farthest edges of their awareness, hidden in the shadows of the unconscious. From there, it exerts a corrosive influence on their psyche, manifesting as a pervasive sense of meaninglessness and despair. For those experiencing depression, confronting the true source of their pain would be utterly devastating. The feelings tied to these causes are too intense, too destabilizing for the conscious mind to bear. As a result, they unconsciously opt for a kind of emotional shutdown, numbing themselves to everything rather than facing the unbearable weight of a specific sorrow. Depression, in this sense, is a form of sadness that has lost its memory, its true origins buried, because recalling them would unleash unbearable anguish. What might these buried truths look like? They could be realizations too painful to face head-on. Perhaps we've married someone fundamentally incompatible with us. Perhaps our understanding of our own sexuality is not what we once believed, shaking the foundations of our identity. Perhaps we harbor deep, unacknowledged anger toward a parent who failed to provide the love and care we needed during our formative years. These are truths that threaten the stability of our inner world, truths that could leave us feeling exposed and shattered. To shield ourselves from this level of psychic pain, we unconsciously choose, though the term suggests more agency than is often the case, a state of depression over a devastating epiphany. We accept a relentless numbness as a form of self-protection, insulating ourselves from the searing intensity of these hidden realizations. Depression, then, becomes a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the unbearable insights that lurk beneath the surface of our minds. While this strategy spares us from immediate agony, it traps us in a state of perpetual emotional stasis, where the very act of living feels hollow and joyless. A depressed person rarely feels consciously aware that they lack insight into their condition. They do not sense a gap in their self-conceptualization, and often perceive their despair as something inherent and unchangeable. Compounding this, contemporary narratives around mental health frequently frame depression as a purely biological issue, something akin to a physical illness. This perspective, while sometimes comforting in its simplicity, can serve the interests of the pharmaceutical industry, and even those close to the patient, who may have a vested interest in avoiding deeper exploration of the underlying causes. The idea of being just depressed may obscure the potential for meaningful psychological insight, keeping both the individual and their support network at a distance from the real roots of their suffering. There is another critical distinction to be drawn between sadness and depression. Sadness arises in response to a specific external event or loss. It is a reaction to something out in the world, such as the death of a loved one or the end of a meaningful relationship. Importantly, sadness does not necessarily damage a person's self-esteem. A sad individual may grieve deeply, but their sense of self remains intact. They are heartbroken about what has happened, not about who they are. Depression, however, operates on a fundamentally different level. It is not only an emotional response to external circumstances, but also an internalized attack on the self. Depressed individuals often experience profound feelings of self-recrimination, guilt, shame, and worthlessness. Their despair is not just about the world, but about their very existence within it. This self-loathing can spiral into a destructive cycle where every perceived flaw or failure becomes magnified and fuels further feelings of inadequacy. At its most extreme, depression can lead to tragic outcomes, including suicidal thoughts, as the weight of self-directed despair becomes unbearable. This distinction highlights a crucial element in understanding depression. While sadness can often be alleviated by time and external support, depression requires a deeper engagement with the intricate and often hidden dynamics of the self. Addressing depression involves not only alleviating the symptoms, but also exploring the underlying beliefs, fears, and unresolved conflicts that fuel its intensity. It is a journey that demands patience, courage, and a willingness to confront the profound complexities of human emotion and identity. In psychotherapy, the origins of self-hatred and depression are often traced to unresolved anger that, instead of being directed outward at its rightful target, is turned inward against the sufferer. These feelings of rage, which might naturally be directed toward a partner who is perpetually defensive and denies intimacy, or a parent who inflicted humiliation during childhood, are repressed and redirected. Unable to confront or express this anger outwardly, the individual unconsciously channels it toward themselves, where it festers and manifests as self-loathing. What begins as the thought, "X has horribly let me down," transforms into the far more corrosive but strangely more bearable belief, "I'm an unworthy and unbearable wretch." In this way, self-hatred becomes a defense mechanism, a way to avoid the perceived dangers of acknowledging and externalizing anger toward others. By internalizing these feelings, the individual spares themselves the relational or psychological risks of openly confronting the true sources of their pain. However, this self-directed hostility comes at a devastating cost, perpetuating a cycle of guilt, shame, and despair. It is also worth noting that depression is often linked to an apparently opposite emotional state, a euphoric, hyperactive mood known as mania. This oscillation between extremes is captured in the term manic depression, now more commonly referred to as bipolar disorder. Mania, with its bursts of energy, grandiosity, and unbridled optimism, can serve as a temporary escape from the suffocating weight of depression. Yet, like self-loathing, it is not a resolution, but another facet of the same deeper psychological turmoil. Together, these opposing states form a complex and challenging emotional landscape, one that demands a nuanced and compassionate approach to healing. Mania, at first glance, might appear to be a state of happiness, much like depression can resemble sadness. However, the relationship between mania and happiness is as deceptive as the relationship between depression and sadness. The critical commonality lies in a rejection of self-awareness, a refusal, conscious or otherwise, to confront the deeper truths of one's mind. In a manic state, a person experiences euphoria, but avoids engaging with the painful realities buried in their psyche. This avoidance explains a defining characteristic of mania, an almost frantic need to escape oneself. Manic individuals may talk incessantly about trivial matters, exercise compulsively, work without rest, or spend recklessly. These behaviors are not expressions of true joy, but desperate attempts to flee from unresolved grief, anger, and loss that lie beneath the surface. Mania becomes a shield against confronting these emotions, a high-speed chase away from the self. Every life is inevitably marked by its share of challenges and sorrows, moments of loss, disappointment, and pain that make sadness a natural and recurring part of the human experience. Feeling sad is not an anomaly, but a testament to the depth of our emotional lives and the reality of existence. Yet, even in the face of life's difficulties, there is always a reservoir of beauty and hope to be found. These glimmers of light remain accessible to those who have been given the tools and space to confront their pain, process their anger, and properly mourn their losses. The ability to recognize and honor our grief is essential for healing. When we allow ourselves to sit with and understand our feelings, we create room for clarity and resilience. Only by acknowledging the depths of our suffering can we begin to appreciate the moments of beauty and joy that life still holds. This balance between mourning and hope is not just possible, it is the foundation of a meaningful life. Life's beauty does not negate its pain, nor does its pain diminish its beauty. By exploring the depths of our experiences with courage and compassion, we open ourselves to a richer understanding of who we are and what it means to live meaningfully. With patience, self-awareness, and the right support, we can transform despair into clarity, loss into wisdom, and sadness into a deeper appreciation for life's resilience and wonder. This understanding of mania and depression points toward a clear path to healing, The primary need of someone in depression is not to be told to look on the bright side or to be convinced that life is inherently beautiful. Instead, they need an opportunity to achieve genuine insight into the roots of their despair. For this, they require a deeply supportive and patient listener, someone who can help them explore their inner world without judgment. Temporary use of medication may also play a role, not as a cure, but as a way to lift the individual's mood just enough to make these crucial conversations bearable. The key assumption here is that depression is not merely a chemical imbalance, but a psychological response to undigested, unknown, or unresolved trauma. To truly address it, the sufferer must be allowed to feel and remember the specific emotional injuries they have endured. They need to understand that their feelings, no matter how painful or inconvenient, are valid and legitimate. Crucially, they must also be given permission to direct their anger where it belongs, even if it lands on difficult or uncomfortable targets. The ultimate goal in treating depression is to help the individual move from a state of boundless despair to one of focused mourning. Rather than seeing their entire life through the lens of loss, they need to grieve for something specific: the wasted years, a failed marriage, the hope of a father's love, a dream career that never materialized. While this process of insight and mourning can be agonizing, it is far healthier than allowing unresolved pain to cast a shadow over everything. By identifying and mourning their particular losses, individuals can begin to reclaim a sense of clarity and balance, leaving behind the paralyzing grip of undifferentiated despair. We're raised to believe that kindness is a virtue and that putting others' needs before our own is a noble way to live. While kindness can indeed bring light to the world, has anyone ever told you that being too kind can backfire? The harsh truth is that we live in a world where generosity isn't always met with gratitude or fairness. Instead, some people exploit kindness, leaving the giver emotionally drained, financially burdened, and even questioning their own worth. Being overly kind can sometimes blur boundaries, allowing others to take advantage of you. It might make you feel stuck in toxic relationships, overworked in one-sided commitments, or even vulnerable to manipulation. But the most alarming part is that excessive kindness can sometimes put your emotional well-being and even your physical safety at risk. In this discussion, we'll uncover 8 unexpected ways being too nice can harm you. More importantly, I'll share 4 powerful yet practical ways to set boundaries, protect your energy, and ensure your kindness is appreciated, not exploited. It's time to reclaim control without losing the compassion that makes you who you are. Let's begin. Number 1. You will set yourself up for disappointment by having unrealistic expectations of others. The Stoics emphasized a powerful yet simple truth. Happiness comes from accepting things as they are, not from depending on others to meet our expectations. When we give to others, we often expect something in return, even if it's just acknowledgement or gratitude. While this may seem natural, it's a recipe for disappointment. The more you give, the more you hope others will reciprocate with the same level of effort and care. Yet, human nature and circumstances often prove otherwise. When you make a habit of overextending yourself, offering time, resources, and emotional energy without limits, you inadvertently train others to rely on you. Over time, they come to see your contributions not as acts of generosity, but as obligations. This can lead to them taking your efforts for granted. They'll assume you're capable of managing not just your life, but also theirs. The real challenge arises when your unspoken hopes for reciprocity clash with reality. You might give with the hope that others will stand by you in times of need, only to find them unavailable, indifferent, or overwhelmed by their own problems. This mismatch can leave you feeling drained, frustrated, and even betrayed. However, this isn't necessarily because people are malicious or selfish. Most people are simply preoccupied with their own lives, just as you should be with yours. When you step back and view the situation objectively, you'll realize that their actions, or lack thereof, are not personal. They're simply doing what you should also be doing, focusing on their own priorities and responsibilities. To break this cycle, it's crucial to set realistic expectations and practice balanced giving. Instead of pouring every ounce of energy into helping others, set aside time and resources for yourself. Understand that true generosity comes without strings attached. When you give, do so because it aligns with your values, not because you're hoping for something in return. Number 2, people will come to expect your help as a given. The Stoics remind us that true value comes from living with integrity and reason, not by constantly yielding to others' demands. While helping others is admirable, doing so without boundaries can have unintended consequences, both for you and those you assist. When kindness becomes routine rather than a choice, it risks fostering dependency instead of encouraging growth. Humans are creatures of habit, and when you're always available to help, others may come to expect your support not as a gift, but as an obligation. This dependency hinders their growth as they don't feel the need to take responsibility for their own lives. The reality is that most people won't think about how their demands affect you. If you don't prioritize your own well-being, don't expect others to do it for you. They may resist your boundaries, but that's a clear sign that you need them. To break this cycle, give with intention and moderation. Evaluate whether each request aligns with your values and capacity. By stepping back, you allow others the opportunity to grow and learn. Remember, your worth is not defined by how much you give, but by your ability to make choices that reflect both compassion and self-respect. Number 3, your own goals and well-being will be ignored. The Stoics teach us that to live a fulfilling life, we must align our actions with reason and virtue, setting boundaries and prioritizing our responsibilities. This balance is crucial for preserving our identity and well-being. If you constantly put others' needs before your own, you may be avoiding deeper issues within yourself. Consider how you feel when you're alone for an entire weekend, or come home to an empty house. If you're constantly busy helping others, are you truly escaping your own discomfort, or are you just delaying facing it? The longer you ignore your own needs, the worse you'll feel. Not only will you eventually have to confront what's inside, but your mental state will also deteriorate as you continue to neglect self-care. Taking care of yourself is fundamental to being able to help others effectively. You can't pour from an empty cup. Make sure you're nourished emotionally and physically before trying to lift others. Think of it like this. You wouldn't offer someone a piece of chocolate unless you've already enjoyed one yourself. You wouldn't clean a friend's house before taking care of your own space and relaxing a little. Self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. Once you prioritize your own well-being, you can give freely and sustainably. Number 4, people will perceive you as weak and treat you accordingly. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate strength and self-mastery, both of which stem from setting clear boundaries and exercising self-discipline. When you consistently prioritize others and neglect to establish limits, the unintended consequence may be that people begin to view you as a pushover rather than a person with integrity. Instead of earning respect for your generosity, you may be seen as someone who can always be relied on to take on the burden, no matter how much it costs you. Over time, this behavior can lead people to take advantage of your kindness, pushing their responsibilities onto you because they know you won't say no. As they become accustomed to you handling their problems, they may stop respecting your time, energy, and priorities. It's as if they begin to see you as a solution to their discomforts, rather than a peer with your own needs and desires. However, the moment you start enforcing boundaries, something surprising happens. They'll start respecting you. By saying no when you need to, you begin to reinforce the fact that you are not a tool for others' convenience, but an individual with limits and self-respect. While it might initially cause discomfort, this shift will show others that your help is not something to be taken for granted. The Stoics teach us the importance of wisdom and discernment when it comes to whom we choose to help. Giving is a powerful act, but it needs to be intentional. Self-retrieval enables us to assess whether the people we're helping truly need our support or are simply seeking to exploit our goodwill. When we learn to differentiate between genuine requests and those driven by self-interest, we conserve our time and energy for people who genuinely need it and avoid draining ourselves for those who simply want to take. In the long run, practicing self-discipline and setting boundaries will not only help you maintain your mental and emotional health, but also foster relationships based on mutual respect and trust, rather than dependency and exploitation. Number 5. People may only seek you when they need something. It's painful when those who once considered you a close friend only reach out when they need a favor. At first, it might not be obvious, but when someone who once valued your company only contacts you in times of need, it becomes clear that something has changed. This behavior hurts because it feels like you're only valued for what you can give, not for who you are. Generosity is noble, but when your efforts aren't reciprocated with friendship or care, it can feel like you're being used. Eventually, you may notice that what was once a genuine connection has become a transactional one. It's important to recognize this pattern and take control. You don't have to cut people off, but setting clear boundaries and knowing when to say no is essential. In healthy relationships should be reciprocal, involving mutual respect and care. If you're being taken advantage of, it's time to reassess how you give and make sure you're surrounded by people who value you beyond what you can do for them. Protect your energy while still being a supportive friend for more balanced relationships. 6th, you'll attract people who only want to take, not give. The people we surround ourselves with significantly impact our well-being. When we give without limits, we deplete ourselves emotionally and mentally, lowering our vibrational energy. This can attract individuals who are more interested in taking from us than offering anything in return. They often thrive on negativity or opportunism and can leave us feeling drained and unfulfilled. However, when we practice balanced generosity, respecting our own needs, we raise our energy and attract positive, like-minded people who are supportive and kind. These relationships are based on mutual respect, where both parties give and receive in equal measure. If you find yourself attracting people who only take, it's time to reassess your approach. Set boundaries and give in moderation to protect your energy. By doing so, you'll build meaningful relationships with people who genuinely care and contribute to your well-being. 7th, you could become addicted to something. The Stoics emphasize the importance of self-retribution and balance, warning against the dangers of unhealthy habits. When we overextend ourselves without setting boundaries, we risk falling into a cycle of dependence, whether on external validation, emotional support, or even substances. This constant giving without attending to our own needs can leave us feeling empty, leading us to seek distractions or comforts that only reinforce the cycle of overindulgence. These habits can develop into addictions, such as overeating, drinking, or compulsive behaviors, as we try to escape the discomfort of feeling overwhelmed or unappreciated. If someone close to you notices these changes, it's essential to listen, as they may see patterns you've become blind to. Genuinely caring people want what's best for you, and their concerns are an opportunity for reflection. Take a moment to consider whether these habits are helping or hindering your growth. By acknowledging and addressing them, you regain control over your life and make choices that align with your true values and well-being, not the need for temporary relief. Number 8, your kindness will make people think twice. Stoicism teaches us to do good not for recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. By aligning our actions with our principles and living authentically, we build an image of integrity that can withstand criticism. However, true kindness is often met with suspicion rather than gratitude. In a world filled with selfishness and hidden agendas, people may question your motives when you offer help without expecting anything in return. This reaction isn't always malicious. Many have become conditioned to expect ulterior motives. While this can be frustrating, Stoicism advises us to be wise. Understand that not everyone will appreciate your kindness or accept it at face value. Some may project their own doubts onto your actions, and in those cases, it may be best to distance yourself. Keep being kind, but also trust your instincts and recognize when to step back. True generosity is about doing good for its own sake, without needing approval or recognition. Let your actions speak for themselves, and over time, the people who genuinely value your kindness will emerge. Now let's explore how you can protect yourself from being exploited by strategy 1. Tune into your emotions. They're telling you something. The Stoics emphasize the importance of self-awareness, teaching us to listen closely to our emotions as they reveal crucial information about our well-being. By paying attention to how you feel, you can gauge whether you're giving too much of yourself, leading to emotional exhaustion. When you help others, ask yourself, how does it make me feel? True, selfless giving should leave you feeling fulfilled, not drained. If you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or unappreciated, it's time to reevaluate. Don't ignore these signs. Your emotions are a clear indication that something needs to shift. Take a step back, reflect on your limits, and find a balance that preserves your energy and mental health. Prioritize your own well-being and adjust your approach to giving accordingly. Strategy 2. Embrace the power of no. One of the key principles of Stoicism is understanding the value of our time and energy. Both are precious resources, and it's essential to manage them wisely. Saying no is a powerful act of self-care and personal responsibility. It is not an expression of selfishness, but rather a demonstration of self-retrieval and healthy boundaries. Softened, we fear that saying no will disappoint others or create tension, but in reality, it is an essential part of maintaining balance in our lives. If we constantly give in to demands, even when we're stretched thin, we risk burning out and losing control over our own lives. By saying no when necessary, we reclaim our autonomy and prioritize what truly matters to us. The word no doesn't have to come with guilt or regret. It is a tool for safeguarding our well-being. It may feel uncomfortable at first, especially when we're used to saying yes out of habit or fear of conflict, but the more we practice it, the easier it becomes. Stand in front of a mirror and practice saying it confidently, acknowledging that setting boundaries is not only healthy, but necessary for our own growth. Remember, learning to say no doesn't mean you're being harsh or unkind. On the contrary, it's a reflection of respect for both your time and the time of others. By doing so, you allow yourself the space to recharge, focus on your own needs, and prevent the risk of being overwhelmed by demands that don't align with your priorities. Strategy 3. Guard your time and space with respect. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is self-discipline, and a key part of this is respecting your personal time and space. In today's fast-pacing world, it's easy to become consumed by the needs of others, leaving little room for yourself. However, just as the Stoics teach us to care for our responsibilities, we must also prioritize taking care of ourselves, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Taking time for yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Whether it's engaging in activities that bring you joy, like exercising, painting, reading, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of tea while listening to music, these moments of self-care recharge you and replenish your energy. Set aside time in your schedule to honor these activities, whether it's daily or weekly. This time should be sacred and non-negotiable. When others request your help during this dedicated personal time, it's essential to recognize your right to say no. There is no need to feel guilty or selfish. If someone truly values your well-being, they will understand that your time to relax and recharge is just as important as the time you give to them. your body. If you prefer a more diplomatic approach, offer to assist at a different time, but make it clear that you have other commitments and need to manage your time wisely. By setting these boundaries and sticking to them, you cultivate a sense of self-respect and ensure that you're always operating from a place of balance and fulfillment. Respecting your own space and time sends the message that you value your own well-being, which in turn helps you remain more present, effective, and compassionate when helping others. Strategy 4. Recognize and distance yourself from energy vampires. One of the most important aspects of Stoic philosophy is cultivating wisdom and emotional resilience. Part of this wisdom involves identifying relationships that are enriching versus those that drain us. While it's natural to want to help others, it's equally essential to protect your own mental and emotional well-being by distancing yourself from individuals who constantly drain your energy without offering anything in return. Energy vampires are people who demand your attention and emotional resources, but never offer anything positive in return. They often thrive on negativity, draining your energy with their constant complaints, problems, and pessimistic outlook on life. These individuals can leave you feeling mentally exhausted, emotionally overwhelmed, and sometimes even questioning your own sense of well-being. The Stoics remind us that it's important to maintain self-restraint in all aspects of life, including our relationships. By recognizing the individuals who consistently leave us feeling depleted and choosing to distance ourselves from them, we are actively choosing to protect our own health and inner peace. This doesn't mean we should cut ties with people who are going through difficult times, but rather, we must recognize when certain relationships are becoming toxic and actively create boundaries to prevent burnout. Attempting to fix energy vampires is often futile. Their complaints are not about seeking solutions, they are about remaining stuck in a cycle of negativity. If their problems were solved, they would have nothing left to complain about, which is something they may not even want. Offering help to these individuals often leads to frustration and disappointment because they are not genuinely interested in resolving their issues. They are instead looking for someone to listen to their grievances and allow them to stay in their comfort zone of misery. Instead, the Stoic approach teaches us to focus our energies on relationships that foster growth, positivity, and mutual respect. These relationships will nourish your spirit and motivate you to keep progressing on your journey. Letting go of toxic relationships isn't an act of cruelty. It's an act of self-respect and wisdom, ensuring that your energy is spent on endeavors that bring value to your life. By prioritizing your well-being and protecting your energy, you are better equipped to support those who truly need it without sacrificing your own happiness. In conclusion, Stoic philosophy teaches us that balance is key in all areas of life, including generosity. The Stoics advocate for finding the middle ground, neither giving too much nor too little. If we give too little, we risk coming across as selfish, indifferent, or even greedy. On the other hand, excessive generosity can leave us depleted, both physically and emotionally, without the necessary resources to care for ourselves. The Stoic approach reminds us to lean into this balance, to practice moderation in our actions, and to recognize that we must first care for our own well-being before we can truly serve others. Generosity should not come at the cost of our health or happiness, and by respecting our own boundaries, we can better offer our time, energy, and resources in a way that is sustainable and rewarding. And when in doubt, remember the power of the word no. It's not about being dismissive, it's about setting limits that honor both your needs and the needs of those around you. Sometimes saying no is the kindest, most generous thing you can do for yourself. As we wrap up this journey into Stoic wisdom, I sincerely hope the insights shared here will help you navigate your relationships and responsibilities with more clarity and confidence. Don't forget that you are a vital part of this community. If you found this video helpful, insightful, or thought-provoking, be sure to hit the like button so that more people can benefit from these teachings. 12 signs you are emotionally mature. Emotional maturity isn't defined by age, but by self-awareness, resilience, and the ability to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. It's about how you respond to difficulties, communicate with others, and grow through experience. The more emotionally mature you become, the more you understand the world with depth, empathy, and clarity. Ready to explore the signs of emotional maturity? Let's dive in. Watch the video now. 1. You see fear, not malice, behind most bad behavior. You begin to see that beneath most negative behavior lies fear, not malice. Instead of assuming that people act out of cruelty, ignorance, or ill intent, you recognize that their actions are often driven by insecurity, deep-seated fears, or unresolved emotional wounds. This realization softens your perspective, allowing you to replace judgment with understanding. Rather than reacting with frustration or resentment, you start to ask, what pain might they be carrying? What fears are shaping their behavior? This shift in mindset helps you let go of self-righteousness, making space for empathy, patience, and even compassion. While it doesn't excuse harmful behavior, it allows you to navigate relationships with a deeper sense of wisdom and emotional resilience. 2. You understand that people can't read your mind. You cannot realize that people cannot read your mind, and that expectation, however subtle, is a barrier to true understanding. Gone are the days when you assumed others should just know what you're thinking or feeling. Instead, you embrace the truth that effective communication is a conscious effort, a skill that must be developed, not a spontaneous understanding that others should automatically possess. You take responsibility for expressing yourself clearly and calmly, knowing that your emotions and thoughts are uniquely yours, and it's up to you to articulate them in a way that others can truly hear. Rather than letting frustration build when people don't get it, you find the strength to pause, breathe, and speak with intention. You understand that communication is not just about speaking, but about creating connection, fostering understanding, and inviting others to see the world through your eyes. This shift in mindset deepens your relationships and helps you build trust with those around you. 3. You can admit when you're wrong. Emotional maturity means having the courage to admit when you're wrong, even when it's difficult. It's about recognizing that you don't have all the answers, that you too are a work in progress. It requires a deep sense of humility to accept that sometimes you make mistakes, and that those mistakes don't define you, but rather offer you opportunities to grow. It's not about letting your ego control your actions. Instead, you learn to let go of pride and embrace accountability. When you falter, you own up to it, not as a sign of weakness, but as a powerful expression of strength and self-awareness. And when the situation calls for it, you don't hesitate to offer a sincere apology. You understand that an apology isn't just a formality, it's a heartfelt acknowledgement of the impact your actions have had on others. Through this process, you gain the respect of others, not because you're perfect, but because you're honest, vulnerable, and willing to learn from your missteps. This is what makes you emotionally mature. Not being right all the time, but being willing to grow and evolve with every experience. 4. You don't take everything personally. You come to understand that not everything is about you, and this realization brings a profound sense of freedom. You stop taking every criticism or negative comment personally, knowing that people's reactions are often more about their own struggles, insecurities, and frustrations than they are about you. When someone lashes out or behaves harshly, you no longer spiral into self-doubt or take it as an indictment of your worth. Instead, you recognize that their actions are a reflection of their own inner turmoil, and you choose not to internalize their pain. This shift in perspective doesn't mean you become numb to feedback or immune to hurtful words, but it helps you detach emotionally from things you cannot control. Rather than getting caught up in the emotional chaos of someone else's anger or frustration, You focus on what you can control, your response. You choose how you react, how you process, and how you move forward in a very special way. In this space of emotional maturity, you discover a new sense of peace. You no longer let the negativity of others define your emotional landscape. Instead, you take responsibility for your own feelings and empower yourself to respond with grace, understanding, and emotional resilience. This sense of control over your reactions not only strengthens your inner peace, but also nurtures healthier, more compassionate relationships with those around you. 5. You're comfortable being alone without feeling lonely. You reach a point where being alone no longer feels like an absence or a void. Instead, it becomes a source of strength and peace. The need for constant distractions, noise, or external validation to feel whole slowly fades away. You no longer search for fulfillment in the opinions or approval of others, because you've learned to find it within yourself. Solitude no longer carries the weight of loneliness. Instead, it becomes a sacred space where you can pause, breathe, and reconnect with who you truly are. It's a time for self-reflection, for diving deep into your own thoughts, desires, and dreams. In these moments, you discover parts of yourself that you might have overlooked or forgotten in the hustle and bustle of life. Rather than feeling isolated, you feel grounded in your own presence. Being alone becomes an opportunity for personal growth, an invitation to explore your passions, to heal past wounds, and to nurture your inner peace. You no longer fear the silence because it's in that quiet space that you find clarity, creativity, and a deep sense of belonging to yourself. This newfound comfort with solitude doesn't mean you've withdrawn from the world. It simply means that you no longer depend on the presence of others to complete you. You've learned that you are enough as you are, and that the relationship with yourself is the most important one you'll ever have. 6. You seek to understand before reacting. You've learned that true wisdom comes not from reacting impulsively, but from pausing and taking the time to understand. Instead of rushing to conclusions or hastily forming judgments, you now approach situations with patience and curiosity. You recognize that your first instinct may not always be the whole picture, and so you resist the urge to react in the heat of the moment. Rather than letting emotions dictate your response, you allow yourself space to listen fully to the words, the tone, and the emotions of others. You observe with an open heart and mind, taking in as many perspectives as you can before drawing any conclusions. You know that every situation is layered with complexity, and that the truth often lies beyond initial appearances. Satan uses pain to grieve the community of Christ. Pain is the price of life, and it is the pain of complexity, and that the truth often lies beyond initial appearances. This shift in perspective helps you to approach conflict with calmness and understanding, not with the goal of proving yourself right, but with a desire to truly comprehend. You value the deeper meaning behind words and actions, seeking to understand the root causes of someone's behavior, rather than simply reacting to the surface. In doing so, you create more meaningful connections, because when you understand, you show empathy. When you listen, you give others the space to be heard. And in that exchange, the need to be right fades into the background, leaving room for collaboration, growth, and a deeper, more compassionate understanding of one another. 7. You've stopped expecting life to be fair. Life isn't always fair. The sooner you accepted this truth, the more you freed yourself from the burden of expecting fairness in every situation. Setbacks, disappointments, and injustices are no longer shocks to your system. They are simply part of the human experience. The world doesn't always give you what you think you deserve, and sometimes life can feel unpredictable and even cruel. You increasingly learn how to regulate your life's mood by the rules of your internal clock, and by extension, the life becomes safe. But instead of allowing these injustices to consume you, you've learned to shift your focus. Rather than dwelling on how unfair things are, you've chosen to focus on what you can control: your response, your attitude, and your ability to learn. Every setback becomes an opportunity for growth. Every disappointment a chance to build resilience. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger and more capable through this experience?" This perspective doesn't mean you ignore your pain or pretend everything is okay. It simply means that instead of letting life's unfairness define your journey, you take ownership of your narrative. You acknowledge the challenges, but you also embrace the power you have to move forward, to evolve, and to rise above them. You find strength in knowing that while you can't control the circumstances, you can control how you respond to them, and that choice is where your true power lies. 8. You set boundaries without guilt. You've come to understand that setting boundaries isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for your emotional and mental well-being. You've learned that protecting your energy is not a selfish act, but rather an essential part of taking care of yourself. Once you may have felt guilty or conflicted about saying no or limiting your time and energy for others. You might have over-explained yourself or apologized, feeling the need to justify your choices. But now, that guilt has slowly faded away. You recognize that in order to show up for others in a meaningful way, you first need to show up for yourself. This means knowing when you need rest, when you need space, and when you simply need to be alone. By setting these healthy boundaries, you're not rejecting others, you're honoring your own needs, respecting your limits, and ensuring you can continue to give from a place of genuine abundance, not depletion. You understand that boundaries are a form of self-respect, and with each one you set, you're reinforcing your self-worth and self-care. You know that to be the best version of yourself, you must protect what matters most: your inner peace, your energy, and your emotional health. 9. You don't let emotions control your decisions. You've learned the profound power of pausing before reacting. Instead of letting your emotions dictate your decisions or lead you down an impulsive path, you now give yourself the space to breathe, reflect, and assess the situation with clarity. In moments of emotional intensity, you've come to understand that your feelings are valid, but they don't have to be the driving force behind your choices. You no longer rush into decisions based on fleeting emotions, whether they're born from frustration, excitement, or even fear. Instead, you take a step back and give yourself the time to fully process your thoughts. You ask yourself, what is the long-term impact of this decision? What is truly best for me, for others, and for the future? You've learned to navigate your emotions without being swept away by them, recognizing that impulse can often lead to regret, while reflection brings wisdom. You understand that emotions are part of the human experience, but they don't have to control you. By choosing to act with intention, you create a life that is not ruled by fleeting moments, but shaped by mindful, considered decisions. 10. You don't need validation from others to feel worthy. The days of relying on others' approval, praise, or attention to define your self-worth are behind you. You've come to realize that true worth comes from within, not from the opinions or judgments of others. Your value is not tied to how many compliments you receive or how much recognition you get. It's anchored in who you are deep down. This shift has brought a sense of profound peace. Instead of seeking constant reassurance from the outside world, you've learned to trust yourself and your own instincts. You no longer second-guess your decisions or look for others to validate your worthiness. You know that your unique strengths, your thoughts, and your presence are enough. In the past, you may have felt a constant need to prove yourself, to seek approval, to be noticed. But now you've learned to stand in your own power, knowing that you don't have to seek permission to be yourself. You've become comfortable with your own identity, and that comfort is a source of confidence that radiates from within. The journey to this point wasn't easy. It required letting go of old patterns and unlearning the need for external affirmation. But now, you know that true self-worth comes from acceptance and love for yourself, without the need for others to confirm it. Your sense of value is unshakable because it's built on the solid foundation of self-acceptance, self-compassion, and trust in who you are. 11. You choose growth over comfort. Every time you push yourself beyond what feels easy or familiar, you open yourself up to new possibilities, new lessons, and new strengths that you never knew existed within you. Rather than shying away from challenges, you now seek them out, knowing that each one is an opportunity to learn, expand, and evolve into a better version of yourself. The discomfort that once felt unsettling now feels like a necessary part of the journey. You've come to see it as a companion, not an obstacle. It's the discomfort that comes with trying something new, taking risks, or facing your fears that propels you forward, shaping you in ways you never thought possible. This shift in mindset has made you more resilient, more adaptable, and more willing to take on life's challenges with an open heart. You no longer view challenges as something to dread, but as something to look forward to, because you know they are the catalysts for your growth. The more you choose to grow, even when it's hard, the more you discover just how capable you are of transforming your life, one uncomfortable step at a time. 12. You know when to walk away. This doesn't come easily, and it isn't always a simple decision, but you've come to understand that sometimes letting go is not an act of defeat, but an act of strength, self-respect, and wisdom. Whether it's walking away from a toxic relationship that weighs on your spirit, a draining job that stifles your growth, or a negative mindset that limits your potential, you've gained the courage to recognize when something no longer serves you. You no longer hold on to situations or people out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of failure, or fear of change. You've learned that walking away is often the first step toward reclaiming your peace, your energy, and your sense of self. It's about honoring your needs and understanding that staying in unhealthy environments can prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. When you recognize that a relationship or circumstance no longer nurtures your well-being, you don't hesitate to make the difficult choice to walk away. You know that doing so doesn't mean giving up. It means making space for better things, for healthier relationships, and for opportunities that align with your true path. Emotional maturity is not a destination, but a lifelong journey, one that requires constant self-reflection, growth, and a deep commitment to understanding both yourself and the world around you. It's not about perfection, but rather about embracing the process of becoming a better, more resilient version of yourself, day by day. As you move through life with emotional maturity, you begin to see the deeper layers of existence, noticing the intricate dance of emotions, thoughts, and experiences that shape each moment. Keep nurturing your emotional maturity, for it is the foundation that allows you to thrive, not just survive, in this complex and ever-changing world. The evolving perception of singlehood, a balanced perspective. In the modern world, the romantic ideal of two people finding each other, falling in love, and staying together for a lifetime still resonates deeply with many. Stories of everlasting love dominate literature, films, and cultural narratives. However, the realities of contemporary life reveal a notable shift in priorities and preferences. A growing number of individuals are deliberately choosing to remain single, challenging traditional notions of relationships and marriage. In many Western countries, the decline of marriage and the rise of singlehood are striking. According to data from the General Social Survey released in 2019, over half of Americans aged 18 to 34 reported not having a steady romantic partner. In Germany, more than 40% of households consist of single individuals. While Western nations are at the forefront of this trend, the pattern is becoming evident globally. Increasingly, people across the world are choosing to live alone, prioritizing independence, personal fulfillment, and freedom over the conventions of partnership and family life. Despite this growing trend, single people often face societal challenges. The lingering stigma attached to being single can manifest in discrimination, prejudice, and financial disadvantages. A 2020 research paper titled "Are Single People a Stigmatized Group?" highlights the unique difficulties faced by single individuals. They are more likely to earn less, pay higher taxes, and incur greater costs for social benefits and health care compared to their married counterparts. Society's preference for couplehood often overlooks the challenges faced by single individuals, reinforcing biases that can affect their quality of life. Yet, singlehood is not without its rewards. In fact, it offers a wealth of opportunities for personal growth and fulfillment. Social psychologist Bella DePaulo, a vocal advocate for the benefits of being single, argues that the advantages of marriage are often overstated. In her writings, she debunks the notion that getting married necessarily leads to greater happiness, health, or social integration. Instead, she points out that single people often thrive in ways that married individuals may not. Psychologists, being single can provide unique advantages in terms of autonomy, self-discovery, and the freedom to pursue personal passions. Single individuals often find deeper meaning in their lives by dedicating time to their interests, hobbies, and goals, without the compromises that relationships sometimes entail. This autonomy can foster creativity, resilience, and a strong sense of identity. It's important to note that the question of whether singlehood is preferable to partnership doesn't have a one-size-fits-all answer. People's needs, desires, and circumstances vary widely. For many, building a life with a partner provides joy, stability, and companionship. For others, the idea of pairing up and settling down feels limiting, and they flourish by embracing the freedom and opportunities of single life. The happiness myth, reevaluating the role of marriage and singlehood in modern life. For centuries, marriage has been the foundation of human society. It has been celebrated as the ideal way to live, a union that brings happiness, stability, and purpose. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that finding a partner, walking down the aisle, and building a family is the ultimate life goal. This narrative is so deeply ingrained that it's often considered the natural and proper way of living, yet this societal expectation leaves little room for those who deviate from the norm. Singles, particularly those who choose to remain single, are often perceived through a lens of pity or judgment. They may be seen as undesirable, irresponsible, or even failures who are avoiding the challenges of relationships. The cultural message is clear. Happiness and fulfillment are tied to relationships and marriage. Newer research has begun to challenge these outdated notions. According to Kislev, while married people may experience a temporary boost in happiness around the time of their wedding, this effect is short-lived. Over time, their levels of happiness typically return to the baseline they experienced prior to marriage. This phenomenon, sometimes referred to as the honeymoon effect, highlights how fleeting marital happiness can be. Moreover, long-term studies on marital satisfaction have found that happiness tends to decline over time in married couples, regardless of the duration of their marriage. Parenting, another aspect of marriage often tied to fulfillment, also shows no consistent impact on overall life satisfaction. This challenges the deeply rooted belief that marriage and family life are the ultimate keys to happiness. The rise of the single-at-heart movement. In contrast to the traditional narrative, many people are discovering that singlehood can be just as fulfilling, if not more so, than married life. Social psychologist Bella DePaulo has coined the term single-at-heart to describe individuals who find their greatest meaning, authenticity, and happiness in being single. For these people, singlehood isn't a fallback or a temporary state, but a deliberate and fulfilling choice. Singlehood offers unique advantages that are often overlooked. Without the responsibilities and compromises that come with marriage, single individuals can dedicate themselves fully to personal growth, career ambitions, and creative pursuits that are based on your interests. They have the freedom to make decisions based solely on their own values and goals, rather than considering the needs and preferences of a partner or family. Furthermore, being single allows for deeper connections outside the confines of a romantic relationship. Many singles build rich social networks, develop meaningful friendships, and engage in community activities that foster a sense of belonging and purpose. These connections can be just as rewarding, if not more so, than the bond between spouses. Challenging the stigma. Despite the growing number of people who choose singlehood, the stigma surrounding it persists. Singles are often perceived as incomplete or lacking something essential, especially if they express no desire for marriage or long-term partnerships. This societal bias can lead to feelings of inadequacy or pressure to conform, even for those who are content with their single status. The real challenge lies not in being single, but in overcoming the cultural narrative that equates marriage with success and happiness. By shifting the focus from societal expectations to individual fulfillment, we can begin to appreciate the diverse ways people find meaning in their lives. A balanced perspective on happiness, the question of whether marriage or singlehood leads to greater happiness ultimately depends on the individual. For some, marriage provides a deep sense of connection and purpose, while for others, it may feel restrictive or misaligned with their personal goals. Amy related that, similarly, singlehood can be a source of immense freedom and growth, but it isn't without its challenges. What's most important is that people feel empowered to make choices that align with their authentic selves. By shedding the outdated myths surrounding marriage and singlehood, we can create a more inclusive society that values and respects diverse lifestyles. Happiness is not a one-size-fits-all concept. Whether single or married, the key lies in embracing the path that feels right for you. For some, that path may involve a partner by their side. For others, it may mean walking alone but with a heart full of purpose and joy. In the end, it's not about conforming to societal expectations. It's about living a life that feels truly your own. Cultivating healthier forms of love. Lessons from philosophy and modern perspectives. In many cultures, romantic love is elevated to the status of an ultimate concern, something that is considered one of the highest aspirations of human existence. Movies, books, and music glorify the passion, excitement, and deep emotional connection that come with romance, often portraying it as the pinnacle of fulfillment and happiness. Yet romantic love, for all its allure, is only one of many ways humans can express and experience love. There are other forms of love that are often overlooked, but are equally, if not more, meaningful. Love between friends, family members, and even the broader community. These forms of love are often overshadowed by the fiery, all-consuming nature of romance, but ancient wisdom and modern insights suggest they may offer a healthier, more sustainable path to happiness. Romantic love, passionate but perilous. Romantic love has long been associated with intense passion, excitement, and even chaos. The idea of being swept off one's feet, of losing oneself in the depths of another person, is thrilling. However, it is this very intensity that can also lead to suffering. Philosophers throughout history have recognized the dual-edged nature of romance. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher known for his teachings on happiness and pleasure, was particularly skeptical of romantic and sexual passion. He advocated for a life of simplicity, tranquility, and rationality, warning against the dangers of unbridled desire. Epicurus famously stated, "Sexual intercourse never helped anyone, and one must be satisfied if it has not harmed." His concern wasn't with the act of intimacy itself, but with the overwhelming passion that often accompanies it. He believed that romantic and sexual passion could disrupt a peaceful mind, leading to jealousy, heartbreak, addiction, and even self-destruction. Epicurus argued that such desires could consume one's time, resources, and emotional well-being, ultimately trading the simplicity of a joyful life for fleeting and often destructive pleasures. In the modern world, the dangers Epicurus warned about are still evident. Romantic relationships, while capable of bringing joy and connection, often come with significant challenges. Intense jealousy, fear of loss, heartbreak, and the emotional roller coaster of romantic entanglements are common experiences. Moreover, the cultural obsession with finding the one can place immense pressure on individuals, leading to unrealistic expectations and deep dissatisfaction when reality falls short of the ideal. The enduring power of friendship, in contrast to the volatility of romantic love, friendship offers a calmer, steadier, and arguably healthier form of connection. While it may lack the fiery passion of romance, friendship provides a source of mutual respect, understanding, and support that can endure over time. Epicurus championed friendship as one of life's greatest pleasures. He envisioned an ideal life spent in the company of trusted friends, sharing simple joys like bread, cheese, and wine. Unlike the fleeting highs and lows of romantic passion, friendships are built on common ground and mutual care, often deepening over years of shared experiences. Friendships are not burdened by the possessiveness or exclusivity that often characterize romantic relationships. Instead, they allow for freedom, mutual growth, and emotional stability. A true friend offers support without the fear of abandonment or betrayal that can plague romantic connections. This makes friendship a profoundly fulfilling form of love, one that nourishes the soul without drama and singleness. And the freedom to diversify love. One of the often overlooked advantages of singlehood is the opportunity to cultivate diverse and meaningful connections. Without the demands of a romantic partner, singles can direct their love and energy toward a wider circle of people, including friends, family, neighbors, and even the broader community. Epicurus championed friendship as one of life's greatest pleasures. He envisioned an ideal life spent in the company of trusted friends, sharing simple joys like bread, cheese, and wine. Unlike the fleeting highs and lows of romantic passion, friendships are built on common ground and mutual care, often deepening over years of shared experiences. Friendships are not burdened by the possessiveness or exclusivity that often characterized romantic relationships. Instead, they allow for freedom, mutual growth, and emotional stability. A true friend offers support without the fear of abandonment or betrayal that can plague romantic connections. This makes friendship a profoundly fulfilling form of love, one that nourishes the soul without drama and cross singles, and the freedom to diversify love. One of the often overlooked advantages of singlehood is the opportunity to cultivate diverse and meaningful connections. And diversity and meaningful connections, without the demands of a romantic partner, singles can direct their love and energy toward a wider circle of people, including friends, family, neighbors, and even the broader community. Social psychologist Bella DePaulo highlights that singles often have more time and emotional capacity to invest in these relationships compared to their married counterparts. They are more likely to nurture long-term friendships, build strong family bonds, and engage actively in their communities. In contrast, married individuals, especially those with children, often find their attention and energy consumed by their immediate families, leaving less room for other connections. This broader distribution of love can lead to a rich and fulfilling social life. Singles are not constrained by the exclusivity of romantic love and can experience the joy of meaningful interactions with a variety of people. This diversification not only strengthens their social networks but also provides a sense of belonging and purpose that is less dependent on a single individual. A balanced approach to love. While it's easy to romanticize the idea of true love and soulmates, it's worth considering that romantic love is not the only or even the best way to experience connection and fulfillment. Friendship, familial bonds, and community relationships offer profound and enduring forms of love that can bring deep satisfaction without the emotional turmoil often associated with romance. Cultivating healthier forms of love doesn't mean rejecting romance altogether. Instead, it means recognizing the value of other types of connections and not allowing romantic love to overshadow them. A balanced approach to love involves appreciating the diversity of ways we can connect with others and nurturing relationships that contribute to our overall well-being. By broadening our understanding of love and moving beyond the narrow focus on romance, we can create a life filled with meaningful connections, emotional stability, and enduring joy. Whether through the steadfast loyalty of friends, the unconditional support of family, or the shared experiences of a community, love in all its forms has the power to enrich our lives and bring us closer to the tranquility and happiness that philosophers like Epicurus so highly valued. The liberation of singlehood, finding freedom and meaning in life freedom, is one of the most cherished aspects of singlehood, a quality that sets it apart from married life. For those who embrace singlehood, this freedom extends beyond the practicalities of daily decision-making. It touches the very core of how we define and pursue meaning in our lives. Without the constraints of a partner or the expectations of a spouse, single individuals have the unique ability to craft a life entirely on their terms. The freedom to live authentically. When you're single, you have the autonomy to make choices without needing to justify them to anyone. There's no need for discussions, compromises, or sacrifices to align your decisions with a partner's preferences or priorities. Taking care of yourself, this sense of independence allows singles to fully explore their interests, passions, and goals, unencumbered by the relational dynamics that often accompany marriage. Whether it's changing careers, moving to a new city, pursuing an unconventional hobby, or taking time for self-discovery, single individuals have the flexibility to act decisively. This freedom is not a rejection of relationships, but an embrace of the boundless possibilities that come from prioritizing one's own aspirations. Creating meaning in a world without guarantees, French-Algerian philosopher Albert Camus offers a compelling perspective on the search for meaning. According to Camus, the universe is inherently devoid of meaning. There is no grand purpose or predetermined plan for human existence. In his view, seeking a universal meaning of life is futile. Instead, Camus encourages us to create meaning ourselves, to find purpose in the act of living rather than in external validations or societal expectations. Traditional societal structures, including religion and cultural norms, often impose a narrative about what constitutes a meaningful life. Marriage, relationships, and raising children are frequently presented as the ultimate markers of fulfillment. But as Camus argues, it's absurd to claim with certainty that one path is inherently more meaningful than another. For single individuals, this philosophy can be liberating. Without the societal pressures that often accompany relationships and family life, singles are free to forge their own path, defining meaning on their terms. Whether it's dedicating themselves to a career, creative pursuits, or personal growth, they can immerse themselves fully in their chosen endeavors without feeling constrained by convention. Nikola Tesla. A life of purposeful solitude. The life of Nikola Tesla provides a powerful example of the freedom and focus that singlehood can offer. Tesla, a brilliant inventor and engineer, remained a lifelong bachelor. He believed that abstaining from romantic relationships allowed him to channel all his energy into his work. Tesla's dedication to science and innovation led to groundbreaking advancements in electricity and technology, many of which continue to shape the modern world. While Tesla's level of devotion to his craft may seem extreme, his life underscores an important point. Singlehood offers an unparalleled opportunity to concentrate fully on one's passions. As a result, they can take the learnings of their primary passions and apply them to concentrate fully on one's passions. Without the emotional and practical demands of a relationship, singles can allocate their time, energy, and resources entirely to what they value most. The autonomy to pursue passions. Social psychologist Bella DePaulo, a leading voice on the benefits of singlehood, highlights how single individuals often prioritize meaningful work and personal growth more than their married counterparts. According to DePaulo, lifelong singles tend to develop a greater sense of autonomy over time, allowing them to navigate life with confidence and self-reliance. This autonomy is not just about independence, it's about the freedom to focus on what truly matters. Singles are often more attuned to their passions, whether it's advancing in their careers, pursuing creative projects, or engaging in community service. They also tend to have more time to cultivate diverse relationships, such as friendships and family connections, which can provide a rich and varied support network. Turning away from convention, choosing to remain single can be seen as an act of defiance against societal norms. It's a decision to reject the conventional narrative that equates marriage with success and fulfillment. This doesn't mean singles are anti-relationship or that they disdain marriage. Rather, it reflects a commitment to living authentically, free from the constraints of expectations that don't resonate with their values. For singles, this freedom can be transformative. It opens the door to self-discovery and allows for a deeper understanding of what truly brings joy and satisfaction. By prioritizing their own needs and desires, single individuals can build lives that are uniquely fulfilling, unburdened by the compromises that relationships often require. The expansive potential of singlehood, the freedom of singlehood, is not just about avoiding obligations. It's about embracing possibilities. It's about having the time and space to explore, to create, and to grow. It's about the ability to live deliberately, crafting a life that reflects one's values and aspirations. For some, this might mean pursuing a career with unrelenting focus. For others, it could involve traveling the world, learning new skills, or engaging in activism. The point is that singlehood offers the freedom to choose, to experiment, and to evolve without being tethered to a predefined path. Conclusion. Singlehood is a celebration of freedom, the freedom to live authentically, to define one's own meaning, and to pursue passions without compromise. It's a life unbound by societal expectations, where individuals can explore the full spectrum of what it means to be human. For those who embrace it, singlehood is not a consolation prize or a lesser alternative to marriage. It's a powerful opportunity to live boldly and intentionally, whether through work, art, relationships, or personal growth. The freedom of singlehood allows individuals to create lives of profound meaning and purpose. In a world that often prioritizes conformity, choosing to live authentically as a single person is an act of courage and a testament to the limitless potential of the human spirit. The power of self-sufficiency. Embracing solitude and thriving alone in a world that often glorifies relationships as the ultimate source of happiness and fulfillment, the concept of self-sufficiency offers a powerful counterpoint. For single individuals, solitude can be a gift rather than a burden, a chance to cultivate independence, emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of self-worth. Contrary to societal norms that suggest we are incomplete without a partner, many happy singles demonstrate that wholeness comes from within, not from another person. Redefining wholeness. Modern culture frequently perpetuates the myth that we are only half of a whole and need another person to complete us. This notion, often romanticized in literature, movies, and music, places undue pressure on relationships to fill emotional voids. But happy singles challenge this idea by proving that completeness is a personal achievement, not something granted by a romantic partner. The reality is that no relationship can permanently cure feelings of emptiness or guarantee happiness. If romantic fulfillment were a universal solution, every couple would be blissfully content and every single person would be miserable. Clearly, this isn't true. Singles who embrace self-sufficiency understand that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external sources. Breaking the cycle of dependency. For some, the belief that happiness lies in romance leads to a relentless pursuit of relationships, with individuals jumping from one partnership to the next, in search of something elusive. This pattern can resemble an addiction, as people seek fleeting highs without addressing the underlying issues that prevent lasting satisfaction. Singularhood, on the other hand, provides an opportunity to break this cycle. It invites individuals to take full responsibility for their own well-being, shifting the focus inward instead of outward. This process isn't about rejecting relationships altogether, but about cultivating a strong foundation of self-reliance that doesn't hinge on another person's presence. The benefits of emotional self-sufficiency, becoming emotionally self-sufficient, offers several profound benefits. First, it's empowering. When happiness depends primarily on internal factors, it becomes far more reliable and less vulnerable to external circumstances. The ups and downs of life are easier to navigate when our emotional well-being isn't tethered to the actions or presence of others. Second, self-sufficiency is cost-efficient, not just financially but emotionally. The less we depend on external validation or material comforts to feel content, the more sustainable our happiness becomes. Learning to find joy in simple pleasures and cultivating a sense of gratitude can transform our outlook on life. Third, self-sufficiency prepares us for the inevitabilities of life. Loneliness, like death, is an experience we all face at some point. Those who thrive in solitude develop a resilience that allows them to face these moments with strength and grace. As Jean-Paul Sartre wisely observed, if you are lonely when you're alone, you are in bad company. By learning to enjoy our own company, we transform solitude into a source of peace rather than fear. Embracing solitude as a growth opportunity, far from being a state to dread, solitude can be a powerful tool for personal growth. It provides the space to reflect, explore, and develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. In solitude, we can pursue our passions, set meaningful goals, and build lives that are rich with purpose. Moreover, embracing solitude doesn't mean isolating ourselves. Single individuals often have the freedom to cultivate a diverse and fulfilling network of friendships, family bonds, and community connections. These relationships can provide support and companionship while still allowing for the independence that defines self-sufficiency. A new perspective on happiness. Happiness is often misunderstood as something to be pursued, acquired, or achieved. But self-sufficient individuals recognize that happiness is a state of being, not a destination. It arises from within, fueled by gratitude, self-acceptance, and the ability to find joy in everyday moments. For single people, this perspective is particularly valuable. It shifts the focus from what's missing to what's already present, fostering a sense of contentment that doesn't rely on external circumstances. In this way, self-sufficiency becomes a pathway to genuine happiness, a happiness that's unshakable because it's rooted in the self-conclusion. Thriving alone self-sufficiency is not about rejecting relationships or isolating oneself from the world. It's about building a strong foundation of independence that allows for deeper connections, greater resilience, and a more fulfilling life. For single individuals, solitude can be a source of empowerment, growth, and joy. A reminder that we are complete just as we are. By embracing self-sufficiency, we not only enhance our own lives, but also redefine what it means to be happy and whole. In a society that often equates worth with romantic attachment, the ability to thrive alone is a radical and transformative act, one that proves true fulfillment comes from within. In today's fast-paced world, the ability to focus is almost a superpower. It's rare to find someone who can concentrate on a single task for hours without distraction. Yet those who master this skill, unsurprisingly, accomplish far more than the average person. Improved concentration can benefit you in countless ways, whether in school, studying, work, or even hobbies. The better your focus, the faster you can achieve your desired results. So today I'll break down the biggest obstacles to your concentration and show you how to overcome them. And let's be honest, you're probably watching this video as a way to procrastinate, but don't worry, I'll make it worth your time. So grab a pen and some paper and jot down a few key takeaways. That way, you'll get the most value out of this productive procrastination session. Now buckle up. It's going to be a deep dive. Let's get started. Scattered focus. There are two types of focus: scattered focus and directed focus. Scattered focus occurs when your attention is spread thin across multiple tasks. This is the hallmark of the multitasker. Someone who tries to clean the house while talking on the phone and cooking dinner at the same time. It can also apply to someone attempting to concentrate on one task, but constantly getting distracted by unrelated thoughts. This is the default mode for most people. They divide their attention across numerous things, believing they are being productive. But the reality is that our brains are incredibly inefficient at handling multiple tasks simultaneously. Contrary to popular belief, when you switch from one task to another, your brain doesn't instantly adapt. Instead, it must reload the context of the new task into your working memory, a process that takes time and mental energy. Think of it like opening a new app on your phone. If you keep switching between apps, each one needs to reload, slowing everything down. The same happens with your brain. Constant task switching creates mental friction, reducing efficiency and making it harder to focus deeply on any one thing. When you constantly shift your attention from one task to another, your brain is forced to repeatedly load and reload context. This process consumes a significant amount of mental energy, creating unnecessary cognitive friction. As a result, you end up feeling mentally drained without actually making meaningful progress. It's like trying to run a marathon but stopping every few minutes to change shoes. You're expending energy, but you're not covering much ground. Directed focus. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have directed focus. This is the ability to channel your attention toward a single task while blocking out all distractions. It's the mindset you should strive for because it's the key to deep work and high-level performance. Top achievers across all fields, whether in business, sports, or creative endeavors, understand this. They don't let their attention drift aimlessly. Instead, they focus on one thing at a time with absolute intensity, like a laser cutting through steel. When you operate in this mode, you give your full mental capacity to the task at hand, maximizing both efficiency and quality. You're not just doing things, you're doing them at the highest level possible, free from the noise and distractions that hold most people back. How to avoid scattered focus. So, how can you prevent scattered focus? The answer is simple: eliminate distractions and minimize any stimuli that could disrupt your concentration. Let's break it down with an analogy. Imagine that at any given moment, you have 5 units of focus available. You can allocate them however you choose. For example, if you dedicate all 5 units to studying, you achieve deep, directed focus. But let's say in the middle of your study session, your mom walks into your room and casually mentions that dinner will be ready in 30 minutes. Even if the interaction lasts only 10 seconds, your attention is now divided. Dinner is now lingering in your mind, taking away one of your focus units. Suddenly, your mental clarity isn't as strong as it was before. Worse yet, it will take some time for you to fully regain your previous level of concentration. In the process, you'll waste precious mental energy simply trying to refocus. Now here's the ironic part. You're probably carrying an even bigger distraction with you all the time: your phone. This tiny device is the ultimate focus killer. It rings, vibrates, and constantly demands your attention with notifications, beeps, and buzzing alerts. And here's the real problem. Even if you've put your phone on silent, the temptation is always there. The moment you feel the slightest bit bored, your instinct is to pick it up for a quick check. But that quick glance is all it takes to break your concentration and pull you away from deep focus. Of course, this doesn't mean you need to throw your phone away or banish it from your life. Instead, I suggest a simple but effective solution. Whenever you need to focus, put your phone somewhere out of sight and out of reach. Choose a place where it won't tempt you, somewhere you can't just grab it absent-mindedly. By doing this, you create an environment that supports deep focus, allowing you to use all 5 of your focus units where they matter most. Another major factor that influences your ability to concentrate, one that's often overlooked, is your physiology. Many people focus solely on mental strategies for improving focus, but the truth is, if you want your mind to function at its best, you must take care of your body. 1. Sleep, the foundation of focus. If you're sleeping less than 7 hours per night, your ability to concentrate will suffer, no matter how hard you try to stay focused. Sleep deprivation impairs cognitive function, slows reaction time, and weakens memory retention. On the other hand, research has shown that getting between 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep significantly enhances focus, problem-solving skills, and overall mental clarity throughout the day. If you want to optimize your ability to concentrate, prioritizing sleep should be non-negotiable. 2. Exercise, fuel for mental clarity. Daily physical activity is another powerful tool for improving focus. When you exercise, your body releases dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, neurotransmitters that enhance attention, motivation, and mood. These chemicals make it easier for you to tackle difficult tasks without feeling overwhelmed or distracted. Now, this doesn't mean you need to hit the gym for 2 hours every day or train for a marathon. Even something as simple as a 10-15-minute walk can be beneficial. And if you can walk in nature, even better. Studies show that spending time in green spaces improves cognitive function and reduces mental fatigue. 3. Hydration, a simple but overlooked hack. Many people underestimate the role hydration plays in mental performance. Ever noticed how groggy and unfocused you feel when you first wake up in the morning? One reason for this is mild dehydration. After all, you haven't had a sip of water in 8+ hours. Even a small decrease in hydration levels can impair focus, memory, and cognitive speed. The solution? Start your day by drinking a glass of water before anything else, and make sure to stay hydrated throughout the day. 4. Your diet significantly impacts your performance. If you regularly indulge in unhealthy foods or consume sugary drinks like soda, you're not doing your brain any favors. Foods high in sugar can cause brain fog and make it harder to concentrate. Consider exploring healthier options to fuel your mind and body. Remember, taking care of your body is essential for maintaining focus and achieving peak performance. How to build and strengthen your focus. In a world full of distractions, the ability to focus is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. But here's the good news. Focus is not just an innate ability. It's a skill that can be trained and improved over time. Just like an athlete builds strength and endurance through consistent training, you can build your ability to concentrate through deliberate practice. When you first start working on your focus, you may find that you can only concentrate for 10 minutes before your mind starts to wander. And that's completely normal. But just like going to the gym, the more you practice, the stronger your concentration will become. Over time, you'll notice that you can work for longer periods without getting distracted, and deep focus will start to feel more natural. The best way to do this is to set aside a specific time each day where you practice deep concentration on a single task. This could be studying, working on a project, or even reading. The goal is to make focused work a habit, just like brushing your teeth or exercising. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for the perfect conditions to start, waiting until they feel motivated, waiting until their schedule is completely clear, waiting until all distractions magically disappear. But this is a trap. If you wait for the perfect moment, you'll end up waiting forever. Instead, you need to commit to a dedicated focus session every day, no matter what. It doesn't have to be hours long. Even 20-30 minutes of deep concentration can have a significant impact. And once you establish this habit, you'll find that it becomes easier to extend your focus over time. But setting aside time for deep focus is only half the battle. You also need to protect that time fiercely. That means eliminating distractions, turning off notifications, putting your phone in another room, and letting the people around you know that you are not to be disturbed during that period. The more you protect your focus time, the more effective your training will be. The best time for deep concentration is in the morning, about an hour after waking up. At this time, your mind is well rested, refreshed, and free from the mental clutter of the day. Your cognitive resources are at their peak, and your attention is not yet scattered by emails, notifications, or conversations. It's like having a full battery. You have all your focus units available, ready to be directed toward meaningful work. This is why some of history's greatest thinkers, artists, writers, and philosophers have consistently used the early morning hours to produce their best work. But what about the afternoon? Why does it feel so much harder to concentrate as the day progresses? The answer lies in the way your brain processes information. As you go about your day, you're constantly making decisions, responding to messages, and handling various tasks. Each of these activities demands a piece of your attention, gradually depleting your mental energy. By midday, your focus has already been stretched in multiple directions, and your brain is heavily stimulated, filled with unfinished tasks, conversations, and external noise. Now imagine trying to shift from this scattered state into deep focus, say to study, write, or work on an important project. Your brain will resist. It's still processing everything from earlier in the day, making it difficult to fully engage in a cognitively demanding task. This is why many people struggle to concentrate in the afternoon, feeling mentally exhausted, despite having several hours left in their day. Focus, whether scattered or directed, takes a toll on your mental energy. Both types are equally demanding, leaving you feeling drained after prolonged periods. This is why it's essential to take breaks and allow your mind to recover. However, this is where many people go wrong. Taking a break doesn't mean picking up your phone to scroll through Instagram, watch YouTube videos, or dive into other forms of digital entertainment. While these activities might feel like relaxation, they're actually keeping your brain engaged and mentally active, preventing you from truly recharging. Instead, consider engaging in activities that allow your mind to rest and reset. A walk outdoors can help clear your thoughts, meditation can bring a sense of calm, and even a short nap can do wonders for restoring mental clarity. These activities are far less stimulating, giving your brain the downtime it needs to recuperate. Admittedly, these options may seem dull compared to the instant gratification of a phone or screen, but boredom isn't necessarily a bad thing. Allowing yourself to experience moments of quiet and stillness creates space for your brain to breathe, recharge, and regain focus. Importantly, taking breaks isn't only about transitioning from scattered to directed focus. It's also a vital strategy for sustaining intense concentration over extended periods. By integrating intentional breaks into your routine, you'll not only protect your mental energy, but also enhance your overall productivity and well-being. The technique is simple yet highly effective. Choose a task you want to focus on, set a timer for 25 minutes, and dedicate yourself entirely to that task without any distractions. When the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break to rest and recharge. After completing 4 25-minute sessions, reward yourself with a longer break, typically around 30 minutes, to fully reset before diving back in. That said, the process doesn't have to be rigid. The 25/5 structure is merely a guideline. You can adjust the intervals to better suit your needs or the nature of the task. For instance, when I'm working on creating my videos, tasks that require deeper focus and creativity, I often extend the work session to 45 minutes and allow myself a 15-minute break afterward. It's all about finding the rhythm that works best for you. Experimentation is key. Try different time combinations to discover what keeps you productive and energized without burning out. Some tasks might demand shorter bursts of focus, while others benefit from extended periods of deep work. The goal is to tailor the method to your personal workflow and preferences. If you've made it this far, congratulations! Your ability to stay focused is already ahead of most people. And the ability to stay focused is already ahead of most people. By refining these techniques and practicing regularly, you'll continue to strengthen your focus and boost your productivity over time. Because this was a long video, I'll quickly summarize everything I just talked about. First, we have two types of focus: scattered focus and directed focus. Second, the best way to avoid scattered focus is to avoid distractions. Every time something interrupts you, it takes from your focus units, and your brain has to reload the context over and over, leaving you mentally drained. Third, take care of your body. If you want your mind to function properly, you need to take care of your physical health. That means getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, keeping hydrated, and watching what you put in your mouth. Fourth, concentration is a skill. If you can't focus right now, that's fine. You can train your concentration like you would train for a sport, and over time you'll get better at it. Fifth, make focus a daily habit. Don't just wait around for motivation. Instead, set a time in your day when you're going to focus intensely. Mornings are the most optimal because usually there are no distractions and your brain is not yet occupied with multiple things. Sixth, unstimulate your brain. Meditate, go for a walk, or take a nap. Allow your brain to be bored and don't do anything stimulating like browsing the internet. This is especially important if you want to focus later in the day. Seventh, take regular breaks. Focusing gets exhausting real fast, so give your mind a rest and you'll be able to focus intensely for longer. And make sure you're actually resting and not low-key stimulating your mind. Eighth, use the Pomodoro technique. It's the perfect method that ties intense focus and regular breaks together. If nothing else, make this technique your daily habit. This is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching till the very end.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.